Hey everybody, welcome in to Folklore and Flourish. You are with Jane over at Blue Box 29, and today is April 18th. So today for April 18th, we are at the Escape. So we are at the Escape, not so much crazy loss or the price today, but actually getting through it. And our theme is breaking enchantment. So we are in week 3 of the Danger in the month of Fae and Hidden Worlds. And today we have finally reached the Escape. With the theme of breaking enchantment, we're going to see that through 4 folklores today. French, German, Japanese, and Chinese stories today. So we'll see after these 4 with the Escape. Before we begin, I want to take a moment to honor the cultures behind the stories we are about to explore. The tales shared here come from many peoples, lands, and traditions. I do not change these stories to fit modern expectations or to align with today's social standards. Instead, I present them as they were told, sometimes beautiful, sometimes harsh, sometimes challenging. We are not here to judge the past, but to understand it, to listen, to learn, and to honor the ancestors who carried these stories forward. We also share stories from various religious traditions. These are presented in their historical and spiritual context, with respect for their beliefs that they represent. Every culture deserves respect, context, and acknowledgement, and this space is dedicated to doing exactly that. Story 1, Beauty and the Beast. Love breaks the enchantment. Within the rich tapestry of French folklore, the timeless tale of Beauty and the Beast stands as one of the most profound narratives, illustrating the power of will, compassion, and love to break even the most formidable enchantment, perfectly embodying the theme of liberation from magical bondage. Although most widely known through the literary versions by Gabrielle Suzanne Barbeau de Villeneuve in 1740, and later adapted by Jean-Marie Le Prince de Beaumont in 1756, the story draws upon older European folklore traditions that explore transformation, redemption, and the reclaiming of humanity through emotional insight. The narrative begins with the prosperous merchant who, after losing his fortune, retreats with his children to the modest life in the countryside, where his youngest daughter, Beauty, distinguishes herself through her kindness, humility, and inner strength. During a fateful journey, the merchant seeks shelter in a mysterious castle, where he unknowingly trespasses upon the domain of a fearsome beast, a prince cursed by the enchantress for his arrogance and lack of compassion. When the merchant plucks a single rose for Beauty, the beast demands a life in exchange for the perceived theft, setting the stage for Beauty's voluntary sacrifice, as she offers herself in her father's stead, demonstrating the agency and moral courage that will ultimately drive the story's resolution. Upon arriving at the enchanted castle, Beauty discovers that beneath the beast's terrifying exterior lies a gentle and generous spirit, and through a series of encounters, she comes to perceive the kindness, loneliness, and vulnerability that defines his true nature. The castle itself serves as a liminal space, suspended between enchantment and reality, where invisible servants, magical objects, and prophetic dreams subtly guide Beauty towards understanding the deeper truth of the curse. Each evening, the beast asks Beauty to marry him, and though she initially declines, her growing affection and empathy gradually transforms fear into genuine love. The turning point of the tale occurs when Beauty, permitted to visit her family, becomes delayed in her return due to their manipulation, leading the beast to fall into despair and near death. Realizing the depth of her feelings and the consequences of her absence, Beauty returns to the castle and openly declares her love, an act of conscious will and emotional clarity that breaks the enchantment. In that moment, the beast is transformed back into a prince, and the castle's spell is lifted, restoring harmony and revealing that the true power of transformation lies not in magic alone, but in the capacity for compassion and selfless choice. Symbolically, Beauty and the Beast represents the triumph of inner vision over illusion, illustrating how the recognition of inherent worth can dissolve the constraints of enchantment. Beauty's journey is not merely one of romantic love, but a moral awakening and personal agency. she is neither passive nor coerced, but actively chooses to see beyond appearances and to act upon her understanding. The beast, in turn, embodies the possibility of redemption, demonstrating that transformation requires both the willingness to change and the acceptance of love. The curse itself serves as a metaphor for the emotional and psychological barriers that isolate individuals, while its disillusion signifies the liberating power of empathy and truth. This narrative resonates with universal themes of freedom, identity, and the reclamation of one's authentic self, aligning seamlessly with the lesson that will breaks any spell. Culturally, the tale has endured across centuries in artistic forms, influencing literature, theater, and visual arts, while maintaining its core message of transformation through compassion. Its origins in the French salon tradition reflect Enlightenment ideals emphasizing moral virtue and the refinement of character. Yet its deeper, folkloric roots connect it to a broader European understanding of enchantment and liberation. Ultimately, Beauty and the Beast affirms that the most powerful magic resides within the human heart, and that liberation from even the deepest enchantments is achieved through conscious choice, empathy, and unwavering love. In the context of April 18th's theme, the story serves as a luminous reminder that freedom is not merely granted, but actively chosen, and that the courage to see truth beyond illusion holds the key to transformation. Story 2, The Swan Maiden, Reclaiming Wings and Freedom. Within the rich tapestry of European folklore, particularly in Germanic traditions, the legend of the Swan Maiden stands as a powerful narrative of identity, autonomy, and liberation, perfectly embodying the theme of breaking enchantment and the lesson that will breaks any spell. Preserved through centuries of oral storytelling and later recorded in folk tale collections across Central and Northern Europe, the Swan Maiden tale follows a recurring motif in which a supernatural woman, capable of transforming between human and swan form through the use of a magical feathered cloak, becomes ensnared in the human world when a mortal man discovers and hides her garment. Typically encountered at the edge of the secluded lake or forest clearing, the Swan Maidens descend from the sky, shedding their feathered robes to bathe in human form. Enchanted by the beauty of one maiden, the man conceals her cloak, rendering her unable to return to her celestial realm and compelling her to remain with him as his wife. Although she may live for many years within the human world, often bearing children and contributing to the household with grace and wisdom, the narrative consistently emphasizes her quiet longing for the freedom and identity that were taken from her. The hidden cloak symbolizes not only her supernatural nature, but also her autonomy and connection to her true self, and its concealment represents the illusion that love or possession can substitute for freedom. In many variations of the tale, the turning point occurs when the Swan Maiden eventually discovers the location of her feathered garment, sometimes within the innocent assistance of her children or through her own persistent searching. Upon reclaiming the cloak, she transforms once more into her swan form and returns to her original realm, often expressing both sorrow for the family she leaves behind and relief at the restoration of her true identity. Some versions depict the husband attempting to follow or retrieve her, embarking on a quest that ultimately teaches him the necessity of respecting her autonomy, while others conclude with the maiden occasionally returning to watch over her children from afar. Symbolically, the Swan Maiden narrative explores the tension between enchantment and liberation, illustrating that captivity can arise not only from overt magical spells, but also from emotional bonds formed under conditions of imbalance or coercion. The story emphasizes that genuine love cannot exist without freedom, and that the reclamation of one's identity is a vital step towards wholeness. Culturally, the Swan Maiden motif is recognized internationally within folklore studies as part of the Animal Bride or Swan Maiden tale type, ATU 400, appearing in numerous European traditions and reflecting shared themes of transformation and the relationship between the human and supernatural realms. In Germanic contexts, these stories often intersect with broader mythological themes associated with Valkyries and celestial maidens, further reinforcing the symbolism of flight, destiny, and spiritual independence. The act of reclaiming the feathered cloak serves as a metaphor for awakening and self-realization, aligning seamlessly with the lesson that will breaks any spell. The enchantment binding the maiden is not sustained by magical force alone, but by the suppression of her true nature, and its dissolution occurs through her conscious decision to reclaim what was taken from her. Ultimately, the legend of the Swan Maiden affirms that liberation arises from the recognition and restoration of one's authentic identity. While the story acknowledges the emotional complexity of leaving behind loved ones, it emphasizes that freedom and selfhood are essential to genuine harmony between worlds. In the context of April 18's theme, the Swan Maiden's escape serves as a poignant reminder that enchantment can only endure when awareness is absent, and that the courage to reclaim one's wings is the key to transformation. Her flight into the open sky symbolizes not abandonment, but the restoration of balance, demonstrating that the breaking of enchantment is both an act of will and a return to truth. Story 3, The Crane Wife, Freedom Through Truth. Within the delicate and evocative traditions of Japanese folklore, the tale of Tsuru no Ongaishi, commonly known as the Crane Wife, offers a profound meditation on love, gratitude, and the bittersweet liberation that arises when truth dissolves enchantment, perfectly embodying the theme of breaking spells and the lessons that will breaks any enchantment. Rooted in centuries of oral storytelling and later recorded during Japan's Edo period, the narrative begins with a humble and compassionate man who rescues a crane caught in a hunter's trap, freeing the bird despite his own poverty and hardship. Soon after, a mysterious woman appears at his door, seeking shelter, and the two gradually form a loving partnership, her gentle presence bringing warmth and harmony into his otherwise modest life. In gratitude for his kindness, she offers to weave exquisite cloth that can be sold for a high price, enabling them to escape poverty. However, she insists on one condition: he must never watch her while she works. As the man agrees, the woman produces fabric of extraordinary beauty, each piece more intricate and luminous than the last, symbolizing both the transformative power of compassion and the subtle enchantment sustaining their newfound prosperity. Over time, the man's curiosity and the pressures of material desire began to erode his trust, particularly as neighbors and merchants marvel at the cloth's value and encourage him to request more. Despite his affection for his wife, he ultimately succumbs to temptation and secretly observes her weaving, only to discover that she is in fact the very crane he once saved, plucking her own feathers to create the miraculous fabric. The revelation shatters the delicate balance between the human and spirit worlds. Having broken her condition of secrecy, the enchantment sustaining their union can no longer endure. Though filled with sorrow, the crane expresses gratitude for his kindness and the love they shared, yet she must return to her true realm, transforming once more into her avian form and departing into the sky. Her departure is not an act of punishment, but a necessary restoration of harmony, emphasizing that the breaking of enchantment often involves both liberation and loss. Symbolically, the crane wife explores a tension between gratitude and possession, illustrating how love can flourish only when grounded in trust and respect for the autonomy of the other. The condition placed upon the husband serves as a metaphor for faith and acceptance, while his act of witnessing the truth represents the human struggle between curiosity and reverence. The crane's transformation and eventual departure reflect the Japanese aesthetic principle of mono no awari, the poignant awareness of impermanence and the gentle sadness that accompanies the passing of beauty. In this context, the escape from enchantment is not solely a moment of liberation, but also an invitation to appreciate the fleeting nature of love and the importance of honoring its boundaries. The tale reinforces the idea that true freedom arises when individuals are allowed to return to their authentic nature, even when such freedom entails separation. Culturally, the story Zuru no Agnashishi has endured as one of Japan's most beloved folk tales, appearing in literature, theater, and visual arts while continuing to convey moral lessons centered on compassion, humility, and respect for the unseen world. Its enduring resonance lies in its nuanced portrayal of transformation, emphasizing that enchantment is sustained not merely by magic, but by the delicate balance of trust and intention. Ultimately, the legend affirms that will, expressed through honesty, acceptance, and reverence for truth, has the power to dissolve even the most beautiful illusions. In alignment with the theme of April 18th, the crane wife reveals the breaking enchantment is not always a triumphant escape, but often a tender release, allowing both love and identity to endure beyond the boundaries of the spell. Story 4, The Ghost Bride, Liberation from a Spirit Bond. Within the rich and complex traditions of Chinese folklore, the custom of ghost marriage, known as Ming Hun, provides a foundation for poignant narratives in which the living and the dead are bound together through spiritual obligation, perfectly embodying the theme of breaking enchantment and the lesson that will breaks any spell. Rooted in ancient beliefs about ancestral harmony and the importance of maintaining balance between the realms of the living and the spirit world, ghost marriages were historically arranged to ensure that deceased individuals, particularly those who died unmarried, could achieve peace and social completeness in the afterlife. In certain folk tales inspired by these customs, a young woman is chosen to become the bride of a deceased man, either through familial arrangement or supernatural compulsion, and she may experience visions, dreams, or hauntings that draw her toward this union. These stories often portray the emotional tension between duty and personal agency, as a living bride grapples with the expectation to honor ancestral traditions while yearning for autonomy in life among the living. The narrative of liberation emerges when the protagonist, guided by inner resolve or aided by compassionate spiritual intervention, seeks to release herself from the binding contract, thereby restoring harmony between the worlds. In many versions of these tales, the enchantment is broken through acts of courage, ritual, or moral determination. A Taoist priest or spiritual mediator may perform ceremonies to sever the bond, or the bride herself may confront the spirit, offering prayers and symbolic gestures that acknowledge the deceased while affirming her own right to live freely. Rather than portraying the spirit as malevolent, these narratives frequently emphasize mutual compassion, depicting the ghost as a restless soul seeking recognition and closure. Once the proper rites are completed, the spirit is granted peace, and the living individual is freed from the obligation, illustrating the belief that harmony is achieved not through conflict, but through understanding and balance. The breaking of the ghost marriage thus represents both personal liberation and the restoration of cosmic order, aligning with traditional Chinese values of filial piety, respect for ancestors, and the maintenance of equilibrium between yin and yang. Symbolically, the ghost bride narrative reflects a broader human experience of releasing inherited expectations and reclaiming personal agency. The spiritual contract serves as a metaphor for unseen obligations, whether familial, societal, or emotional, that can bind individuals until consciously acknowledged and transformed. The act of liberation underscores the power of will, compassion, and ritual in dissolving enchantment, reinforcing the lesson that awareness and intention are essential to freedom. Additionally, the tale highlights the importance of honoring the past while still embracing the possibility of renewal, suggesting that true harmony arises when both the living and departed are allowed to move forward. Culturally, ghost marriage traditions have been documented throughout various regions of China for centuries, and while the practice is rare today, its presence in folklore continues to offer insight into historical understandings of familiar structure, spiritual continuity, and the relationship between life and death. Literary and cinematic adaptations have further explored these themes, often emphasizing the emotional resilience of individuals who seek to reclaim their destinies. Ultimately, the legend of the Ghost Bride affirms the liberation from enchantment is achieved not through rejection of tradition, but through the compassionate reconciliation of past and present. In the context of April 18th's theme, the story serves as a powerful reminder that the courage to confront unseen bonds can restore both personal freedom and spiritual balance, demonstrating that will, guided by empathy and understanding, possesses the power to break even the most enduring spell. Hey everybody, welcome back in. Hope you enjoyed those 4 stories for April 18th. Today is all about the escape. We were in the danger zone this week, but today we made it out. I'm a little excited, so I have a lot to do today. Obviously, I've kept my hair in braids, keeping hats on and protecting my skin a little more, because now that it's a little warmer outside, we can do some more yard work. I finally had this vision of what I want to do in our garden, and bless Mark's heart, he's going to help me do it. So we have that going on, but I also wanted to show you guys my signs came in. Oops. My signs came in. So I'm running for local county assessor. And I just wanted something, trustworthy and believable. You guys can't see it, I don't think. I can see it. You can see it just through the glare, but as you can see right there, Molly's already got her paws on these. She is pumped to get these up and around town. So, gotta do what you gotta do. Anyways, I really hope you enjoyed those 4 stories with the escape. Our lesson is that will breaks any spell. So the theme of breaking enchantment, and now we hear is that our will breaks any spell. Story 1, right away, this is a story most of us have seen, heard. Beauty and the Beast. So, Beauty and the Beast, there are a lot of things that that story has taught us throughout the years, but something that I think gets passed off a little bit more is just the resilience that these two individuals had. Yes, the Beast, and that's its own little thing of his resilience and his trying to get Belle to like him and love him and all this stuff. But Belle's resilience, in spite of her family trying to sabotage her and trying to keep her back, and understanding that, wait, he's become a part of me. I think that's how it is a lot of the times with relationships, is that out of nowhere, you realize that they're a part of you. And it's not that awkward discussion of, oh, what are we? It's just kind of like, oh, I guess we're in it now. That's kind of how Mark and I were. Is one day, I mean, we were hanging out and then I went to go leave one day and he just asked where I was going and that was it. I mean, after that, I was tagging overnight bags and everything and staying for whole weekends and all of that. So it just kind of sweeps over you quickly. The cultural significance for this one is that the Beauty and Beast symbolize the transformative power of compassion and moral insight, emphasizing that true freedom arises from the recognition of inner worth and the conscious choice to love beyond appearances. The important note is that this tale reflects enduring cultural values surrounding empathy, redemption, and personal agency, reminding us that liberation from enchantment often begins with the willingness to perceive truth beneath illusion. Something I also like about The Beauty and the Beast is that I think that it goes to show us just how obsessed we all are with looks and how, I mean, just thinking about it, oh, well, that couple looks weird together. Oh, well, why does it matter? The idea of being so obsessed with looks over people's actual character, their actual moral compass, for the sake of looking okay for everyone else. Looks don't matter nearly as much as how we feel and how people feel when they're around us. But the most important relationship and partnership we have is with our partners, with our person that we are choosing to endure this life with. And then we get into story 2 where we pop over to Germany. This one is all around Europe, but this one in particular had some German roots to it. This is the Swan Maiden, so remaining or reclaiming the wings and freedom. So this is just a different version, kind of a different version of the Selkies, where her cloak is taken and she remains a swan and she changes and then eventually finds it again. I do like the cartoon, the Swan Maiden or the Swan Princess, whatever it is, that encompasses that, entrapping her, trying to force the Swan Maiden to be the wife for her beauty or whatever it may bring. But it's another form, and we saw this, I don't remember if it was yesterday or the day before, but it's another form of coercion, of forcing someone to be with you, whether she knows that he has the cape or not, whether she's afraid or not. If it's under false pretenses, it can't be real. Yes, it may be true love for whatever the situation was, but if it wasn't true, how can it be the right love? And again, the Swan Maiden shows us her escape from being trapped. Yes, the family, the children, there's a lot that is left behind. The love that's left behind could be real love for all those other people, but the identity, she can't force herself to be in a situation where she's not even who she truly is. And so when she sees that and knows that she can be free, she sure as heck takes it. The cultural significance for this is that the Swan Maiden symbolizes autonomy, identity, and the necessity of freedom within relationships, emphasizing that true harmony arises only when individuals are allowed to remain faithful to their authentic nature. Our important note for the Swan Maiden is that this tale reflects universal themes of identity and consent, reminding us that genuine love honors freedom and that reclaiming one's true self is the ultimate act of liberation. Story 3, The Crane Wife. Again, we've seen this one. This one is another one where it's based on trust and mutual understanding of, this is the deal. I'm going to take care of this. I'm going to deal with it. Nothing bad's happening. I'm not being hurt. Just need you to give me privacy. And his curiosity, because of the voices of other people. We've seen this story before. Other people getting involved in your relationship and it ruins your relationship because you crossed that line. It doesn't matter what he, she, whatever they said. you're coming in and invading your partner's space for nothing other than curiosity of others, and coming in, and then it's too late after that. Again, when Mark and I have talked about this before, and I'm a big believer in this, if there's no trust in the relationship, I don't believe that there's a relationship. And that doesn't mean just with your partner. I think with your family, with your friends, with your coworkers, if there isn't trust there, it's not going to be a very strong, powerful relationship in any way, shape, or form. It could still be a respectful relationship, but it's not going anywhere outside of where it has to go, like work or family, any of those. Beyond what it has to do, it has limits. And that's what trust does, is that without it, it limits a heck of a lot of potential for that relationship or those two people. This one, though, it's done, and she goes home. The cultural significance with this one is that the crane wife symbolizes gratitude, trust, and the acceptance of impermanence, reflecting key Japanese cultural values and the belief that harmony between worlds depends upon respect for boundaries and truth. The important note is that this tale embodies the principle of mana no aware, reminding us that the breaking of enchantment often carries both freedom and sorrow, and that honoring the true nature of others is essential to genuine love. Like I just said, if we're not able to be our true selves in any way, in any reason, for whatever reason, we can't truly love the way that we can best. It's not our genuine love, and we can't be loved correctly. Story 4. Story 4, The Ghost Bride. I really think this is an interesting practice because I know that there are religions that also baptize people after their death. I think that's interesting, and that's its whole, I have my own opinions on that. Of course, they're my opinions. But with this one, The Ghost Bride, it's a similar concept of a woman being brought up to marry someone so that they can be honored and they can have that completed cycle for the afterlife. And I think that that's interesting, that deep spiritual bond, how, yes, everything we do here matters, but there's still chances. The things we leave behind, the options that we have behind, the people around us, they're advocates for us even after death. I think it's cool, though, that there is a way out, honoring that marriage and being released from it so that the maidens that are still living can move forward. They served their purpose. They did their duty, all of that respectfully so that they can have a chance in another life. I thought that was beautiful. That wasn't something that I heard in the original interpretation of this story. And it actually was a couple. It took me a little bit of digging to realize that there were ways out of it and serving your purpose and then being liberated from that spirit bond. So the cultural significance for the Ghost Bride is that the Ghost Bride narratives reflect the importance of ancestral harmony, filial piety, and the balance between the living and the spirit world, emphasizing that liberation is achieved through respectful acknowledgement and compassionate ritual. The important note for that is that these stories should be approached with cultural sensitivity, recognizing that ghost marriage traditions represent deeply rooted beliefs about family, continuity, and spiritual balance, rather than mere superstition. So it's exactly what I just said about the religious aspect. I have my own opinions. I don't know much about it. I was baptized when I was a child, so it's not something that I have to worry about in any way, shape, or form in that aspect. But it's all of these stories come from something. These aren't just random things that are done or just spur of the moment things. These are deep rooted belief system, deep rooted ideas, values, morals, community, all of it, deep rooted things. And keeping that in mind with our daily thread is that beauty's love restores the prince from his curse. The Swan Maiden reclaims her wings and rightful freedom. The crane wife departs when truth dissolves the spell. The ghost bride is released from bonds not of her choosing. Each tale reveals the courage to break unseen chains. Each liberation begins with the awakening of will. Enchantment fades when truth and choice unite. Freedom is found the moment the soul chooses itself. So, today, the escape. escaping from all sorts of different chains and bonds, escaping, liberating as an individual, liberating as a relationship, a couple, whatever it may be. But with all of those, the question is, what spell must I undo? So our theme was breaking enchantment in the lesson of will, breaking any spell. What spell is it that I must undo? And then with that today, your activity is to unlock a door or object deliberately, pausing as it opens. So unlock a door or unlock some sort of object deliberately, feel and pause as it opens. And then my final thought for you today is to choose release over repetition when awareness presents the key. And with all of that in mind, I can hear Bella outside barking to get in. She finally returned. So she must be saying that it's time to get back at it. It's time to go do some more yard work, some more plant work. It's almost time for the succulents. I'm thinking in the next few days they'll be ready finally to go there. And I guess we'll see you then. Bye, guys. Thanks for joining me today on April 18th with The Escape. See ya.